Hey friendly neighbors, I was at Starbucks the other day ordering my winter go-to beverage of choice, which of course is decaf peppermint mocha, extra mocha. And then I went over to the barista to say hi, not because I knew him, just because that's what I do as a friendly neighbor. I like to say hi to the people that are making things for me. And also that's something I love about New York City, meeting new people and saying hi and asking how are you? And wanting a real answer, because when I ask how are you, I want to know how you actually are in reality. He didn't look up at first, so I said hi again, and then he looked up and he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just really out of it today." So I said, "What happened?" And he said, there was a guy that morning who yelled at him because there was a line at Starbucks in Manhattan during rush hour. There is always a line at Starbucks. That's called welcome to reality. That's like going to the post office and expecting to roll up to the counter and be out in 3 minutes. Nope, always a line there too. Yet the last time I was at the post office, this lady in line was complaining for 20 minutes. Why is this line taking so long? Why aren't there more people working here? I can't believe I'm still here. I expected there to be a line, so I brought a book with me and I just took my book out and I was reading. When you make friends with reality, no line can faze you. I'm not talking about the things you can change. The things in the world that bother you, that are horrible, that keep you up at night, that you have power over, be that change. I'm talking about how the world is, the parts of it in reality that you don't have power over, that you can't change. You can't change those things, but you can control your reaction to them. In The Light We Carry, Michelle Obama wrote about how she wanted to slay at gymnastics when she was 12. And she was at the gym practicing her back bend. She got in a back bend position, but she couldn't push herself up into a back bend. Her anatomy was not aligned with a back bend. She was not built for gymnastics, just like I was not built for running. When we had to run the mile in gym, it was the worst. I ran a 12-minute mile. And by ran, I mean walk, loped, galloped a little bit, maybe shuffled. Like, I don't even know what I was doing, but it wasn't running because running doesn't feel good in my body. And it wasn't just about the mortification of being the last person to finish the mile in gym. Even now, if I run to the end of the block to catch a light or I run after someone with a scarf they dropped, running doesn't feel good. Instead of accepting that and finding mindful movement that did feel good, at first, I was fighting it and struggling against it and trying to force myself to do something that my body didn't want to do. I tried to force myself to be a runner. I remember being at the gym years ago and getting on the treadmill and thinking, okay, if I get really good at running inside, then I can be a runner and I can run outside like people do. It wasn't until I asked myself why I was trying to force myself to run that I realized running for me sort of symbolized this lifestyle. There's so many women here in New York City who I look up to. They're runners. They start their day by running in Central Park in the morning and they look so good and they're so healthy and they're so strong. I wanted to be like them. But when I stopped struggling and trying to force something to happen that wasn't happening for me, then I made room to welcome in mindful movement and I found yoga. And I've been doing yoga for 30 years. Yoga is a really important part of my lifestyle, and it is mindful movement that feels good to me. If you are literally not built for a thing, that's not your thing. It's not for her. When you're fighting reality, trying to force something to happen, there's no room to welcome in what is actually happening. But when you accept the things you cannot change, you inspire this inner sense of peace that helps you interact with reality in this whole different way. It's not just about how your anger and frustration are affecting you, it's about how you affect everyone else. The lady at the post office was bringing down the energy of the room. The guy at Starbucks who yelled at that barista felt bad for the rest of the day and maybe even for much longer. Your words and actions affect everyone else you come in contact with. We are all responsible for the energy we show up with in the world. I was on the subway a couple days ago. I love this so much. The subway conductor gets on the intercom, and instead of just saying normally what the subway conductor says, which is announcing the next station. So usually it's like 14th Street, 23rd Street, 28th Street, 34th Street, and the connecting trains. And that's pretty much all you hear. This guy got on and he said, beautiful people on the train, have a magnificent, amazing, uplifting, enlightening day. This is someone who made friends with reality. He decided, even though he can't control the harsh reality he deals with every day. There are people standing in the doors of the subway blocking other people from getting on and off. That makes his train late. Now that creates a whole mess of problems down the line. Instead of being angry about that reality that he couldn't control, he said, you know what? I'm choosing to bring joy to everyone on this train. And I was smiling and the person across from me smiled. It was just, again, this moment of New York City connection that I love so much. And I'm grateful for it. When I made friends with reality, I stopped fighting and struggling and trying to force things that weren't meant to happen. The things that I had no power over, I reclaimed my power. I empowered myself. And now I feel free. But it took a long time. It took years of practice. It is a daily practice. And some days you don't feel like doing it. Some days you're tired. Some days you want to break. Some days you just don't feel like doing the work. That's okay. Every day you just try again, and you try again, and you try again. And if you never give up, you reach a day where you have generated this sense of inner peace that allows you to interact with the world in a way that is serene and kind, and it inspires you to be not only more kind to yourself, but kind to everyone else that you interact with. So I wish you a beautiful relationship with reality to inspire that kindness towards yourself and everyone else. Namaste.